down somewhere.
Is it on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, you're on.
Bring them up.
Okay.
They took them to the cabin, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I'm running my education exhibition in Cahokia. It's down in Monroe County, just a little bit south of last year. Yep. I'm at University of Pennsylvania. So I'm working with Meg Hasselbaum up there. She's been phenomenal, but we're probably doing we're in the midst of my last season of excavation for my dissertation on them, but yeah.
All right, well, tonight, our presentation is going to be by Larry Kinsella. He's given us several other programs in the past as well. He's an experimental archaeologist, professional flint knapper, tool maker, etc. And tonight he's going to be talking about drilling, micro drills especially, but in his program information he says drilling or perforating materials such as bone, shell, ivory, antler, stone, or wood is a technological skill that was first invented in the distant past archaeological record, and the earliest examples go back as far as the Neanderthals, according to Larry. And
I think my brow's a little wider.
and it's something that's been going on mainly for drilling ornaments or holes in wood, shell, and other materials, using primarily stone implements. But he says there's no way of knowing which techniques are used to drill it. The beads at Cahokia found a lot of stone micro drills and other types of drills, and most likely some people professionals have actually studied the wear patterns on some of these micro drills, and they can tell whether they're drilling shell or some other material. But the techniques Larry's going to demonstrate, and also have you guys participate as well. Try your hand at it and work up your own blisters, I guess.
There you go.
So I'll let Larry carry on here rather than carrying on myself. I'll let you do the show.
All right,
Larry
thank
Kinsella.
you.
Larry, I have a
Thank you.
question. You said Greg found these? Or
Yeah.
Are they at the Gilcrease? Because
No, they're at the Illinois State Museum.
What's
I personally carried them there myself.
what's the one? Because there's also
There's
a huge-
1,300 at Gilcrease still,
Okay.
that Greg found.
that he found.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then there's some other little jars, 30 or 40 here and there.
Yes. Yeah.
So the micro drill, the article that we did for rediscovery was showing that the micro drills are really more important than we probably thought they were. One of the reasons is they are hard to find because they seem to go through most archaeological screens. A 1/4-inch screen, they go right through it. So what we had to do is come up with better ways to retrieve them. When I worked with John Kelly out at the Whiteside School site, he always has had a idea of putting the back dirt from your features or the houses that you're working on a tarp. So it's easier to put it back in because you know when you hit the tarp, that's it. Well, that also isolated the micro drills and stuff. So when we had a house, you wouldn't know you had micro drills in it until usually about halfway through, and you start seeing little fragments of micro drills. So what he did was he put that on the tarps, and that made it isolated so that we could say, all right, we know that all this went with this house. And that house, I think, had something like 400 micro drills that we found, and then I water screened with a screening method. We would hang a bag from a tree and spray it, and we got another 700 micro drill frags from that. So those are all going through archaeological screens. And so we need to come up with better ways to get those archaeologically. And my welcome any ideas people have about doing that, especially in the field, so we know we've got them. I was going to hand this around now. I think I'm going to wait. So what we've got is a bunch of materials here to drill. I've only got 13 drills, so we're going to be short. And what I've got is Cahokia Mound's brought us some sheets of copper, if somebody'd like to drill that. I've got shell beads. We got enough for everybody there. If anybody wants to drill shell beads and take it home with them, that's great. It's going to take about a half hour to drill in the hand. If anybody wants to drill a piece of fluorite, I got them here, but they're very expensive. They're about $20 a piece. So if you want to drill, that right there is $150. So if anybody wants to drill a piece of fluorite, they're welcome to do it. It's going to take about a half hour also. I have a bunch of clay here that if you're going to drill, I would say for the fluorite, you'd want to cut off a piece of clay and stick the fluorite down in the clay to hold it for you while you're drilling. And then you can take it home with you when you're done. I have a few beads from my collection. There are some ankylosa beads in here. We can't get ankylosas anymore. Apparently, they left with the, when the Tennessee Valley Authority took most of the dams down in the southern areas, and I haven't been able to find a real ankylosa shell ever. There's also some marginellas. We have some that look like marginellas, but I think they're calling it a different term down in Florida now. So you have to just figure out what that term is. But I've seen a few of them in artifact shows and stuff that weren't drilled. What I wanted to do was to have these at Cahokia and let people kids rub it on the sandstone slab and put the hole in that way, and then string that on a piece of string and then make a little necklace. So what I'm going to do first is show you how you rough these out. I get my phone out of my pocket because that will hurt that. And it's going to be tough because I'm going to be up here. I want anybody that can gather around wherever you can, and we'll try to show you the way that they're manufactured, and the starting point of microdrills is the most important. So everybody come on up if you can. We got plenty of room over here.
You can. Yeah.
Now the reason that all of those micro drills that you see in that photograph, every one of them is made from Crescent Quarry Chert. Crescent Quarry Chert comes down in Jefferson County, Missouri, and it gets very blocky. The problem is it gets so blocky, and this is what you'll see is this rust in between the fractures. And that rust separates the chunks. This is actually a fairly good sized chunk. Most of these are blocky, maybe an inch, inch and a half, one way or the other, and so they're really, it's a chert that you can't make an arrowhead out of. You can't make a spade or a hoe out of it, but you can sure make a microdrill. So that's what they're doing. They're breaking it, and then they're scraping the edge. I'm hoping I have a good platform set up. I got 3 of them on here. And I use a copper punch. They had copper punches you can see in that display at Cahokia Mounds with the copper there. Oh, I know what I forgot. I forgot my Hertzian cone. So the Hertzian cone is what happens when you hit a piece of flint or you hit a BB into a pane of glass, you get a cone that pops out the other side. That's the Hertzian cone. That's the angle that flint knapping takes. It's about 100 degrees altogether. So if you want to know how to drive a flake down an edge, if you lay the cone on that edge and then take the tip of the cone and put it on the edge of the platform of the flint, that will be the angle that you need to strike it in order to get that blade off. So we're going to try it. This is a very tough flint. That's exactly why they use it. They don't heat treat it because heat treating takes the strength away. So I got 3 of them set up. Hopefully we'll get one. It's better if you can take it and put it in a vise. I'm just putting it between my legs. And then I've got my punch on it. I'm going to hit it sharply. Yeah. We got one. We could make it out if we had to. It's not a very good one. We'll try the other one.
We've all been worried about you, so glad to see you're here.
I'm doing much better, thank you.
There we go. Pass that around if you would. You'll notice that the flat side, there's one flat side and the 2 other sides are okay. We'll see if we can get a third one. This one isn't a very good platform. Yeah, we got another flat flake that came off the side. So we couldn't make one out of that. This also shows you that what happens is you get a lot of debitage that you can't use. Eventually, you need to redo these platforms to make another one. So what you'll do is you'll drive off flakes next to it, like this photo shows. So on this one, flake number 1 comes down this edge. Number 2 is this one here. Those will be 3-sided, but the one number 3 is going to be 4-sided when it comes off. So you can prepare the core by doing that. Eventually that platform will leave and you'll have to punch it from the side and make a new platform on it and reuse that. Okay.
Larry, can you show that to the camera?
Oh.
Just hold the picture up that you had.
The picture.
Oh, okay, the picture, yes. So when you drive these, there's a method to the madness. You can drive the flakes off. 1, 2, and 3. The 3 is right down the center. Most micro drills are 3-sided. Try drilling with a 2-sided drill. You know those Indian artifacts that you have that are 2-sided from a knife. Those are resharpened knives. They don't make very good drills at all. They snap. Plus, at this time period, many of those are heat treated, so they just don't work very well. They snap too. Micro drills are not heat treated. They're raw. Sometimes they get burned in a house accidentally or in a prairie fire, and it looks like they're heat treated, but they're actually raw. That holds the strength in. When you make, the reason for being 3-sided is that Hertzian cone. That is 100 degrees, and so when you take, what I do with it, here it is. So 3-sided, you're going to have 360 degrees, 120 degrees. That's really close to this. So each side of the drill buttresses the other. So it doesn't break very easily at all. In fact, if you get flakes that do come off while you're drilling, it's usually good. It resharpens the bit for you.
Is there any benefit for 4 sides versus 3 sides? Because you mentioned the one flakes can
No,
be 4-sided.
and some are 5-sided too. It's just that the 4-side is really tough to break.
Gotcha.
Because it's under that 100 degrees. So depending on what you get, if a 5-sided is kind of hard to get a good edge on it, but they do work. The reason that this works is because they're used with cane, and this is the main thing for casting, is that you want that D shape cross section. Down here it's round. But right there at the leaf attachment, it's D-shaped. Show it to the camera maybe too.
Yep, perfect.
See? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, remember that flat area on the drill bit? That's where it comes off of the core. That fits this flat area here. Slip it in, therefore you don't need any hafting material. When it gets dull, turn it around the other way, make the flat areas match, and you're ready to go. And then you resharpen it while it's in the handle, and if you need to resharpen, I've got a pressure flaker up there, but it's usually just driving off a couple of flakes off the edge like that, away from the flat surface. You try not to touch the flat surface other than to straighten it out. Where did I do my water? My mouth's getting dry already. So these are a marriage made in heaven
Just gotta do that.
between canes and micro drills, because three-sided makes that D shape. So, I guess we ought to get started, because we're going to be getting pretty late if anybody wants to drill. Couple hints: if you start a shell B, you'll want to get a place to start. And that's usually the hardest. You probably have to get it and get a little spot if you can. And all you want, you can hear it crunch a little every now and then when the flake comes off. I get a little divot there with my vision. It's a little hard to see. I usually like to use the leg pad. You can double or triple it, whatever you want to do. Now, if I can find my original divot, there it is. And believe me, it'll slip a lot. When you hear it kind of crunching, you know you're getting there. The biggest hard part is holding the drill vertically. Notice how the top doesn't move that much? If it moves very much, it's going to slide.
Keep the
out of the
pressure
hole.
on it.
How often would you anticipate resharpening in the course of making just a single bead?
You might resharpen once or twice.
Okay.
When I did the fluorite, drilling those fluorite cubes, my drills are about that big when I'm done.
Wow.
So I work those down, and they take about a half hour, 45 minutes to do those too.
So is each drill really sort of, in your experience, kind of like one bead, one or two beads before it's kind of toast and you need to make another?
Hence those thousands of bead blanks
Right, exactly.
at Kuhneman. So
Yeah.
they're going to be done using them. There are hot spots. Kuhneman is probably the hottest spot we know
Is Kuhneman
but-
to the north of here?
of. No, that's down at Cahokia
Down at Cahokia.
on St. Prairie Lane.
Got you.
On the other
Right.
side of the viaduct.
To the north of Cahokia Mound.
Yeah.
Mound.
And then we have another small one down at Finger Hut, and there's probably one. Greg Perino said that when he went through after the flood of '06, I guess, when he went through the area of Mound 20, 21, 22, that he found houses that the wall trenches were full of shell, and I bet you there's a workshop right in there. There's probably a lot of micro drills in there. But these are also isolated to one or two houses in a lot of villages. Like, what was it, one at Whiteside School,
Yeah.
it was limited to 3 pits, and those were limited to 1 house. So there's usually somebody in the area that's
Very
not
specialized.
coming out, yeah. All right, if anybody wants to get started, it's not real easy, but it's not difficult. If you put it on there like that, you don't like it, switch it around. Get yourself a sharper edge. And we'll see if that won't stay centered a little better. That one's a little wobbly, but I can hear it cutting a little better. Once you get it started, it's just a lot of repetition. And the one thing to do too is when you start your hands, don't just go back and forth like this. Roll them out to here. You get 1, 2, 3 revolutions, 4 revolutions that way. If you just go like that, you're getting about a half a revolution. So if you can work it, it takes a little while, a little practice to get used to driving that. It's the same method that you use when you're making hand drill fires. You want to keep it nice and centered.
Mary, is there any substitute for river cane if you don't live in an area where you can get river cane?
Yeah, one of them is what we call a quick haft, or what is it? We call it the X-Acto knife. And you take a twig, and then you take a piece of antler that fits over the twig, and then you split the twig and make it one side with a little hump in it so that they'll give a 3-sided drill. You squash that in there, and then you bring that antler down over the top, and it holds it right in place. And then when you hold it back, just like a lock on a hammer drill, is the same, just a lot of the same type of thing. So we don't have archaeological evidence for that quite. We get the pieces of, some people say they're doing it with bone, but bone would split way too easy. But a lot of them are done with cane, I think, bigger pieces of cane. With that in mind, if you ever get into drilling, core drilling banner stones and things like that, if you use a piece of cane that's this big around, you don't get many RPM. So you can double your RPM by putting a smaller piece of cane inside that and then using that to core drill. With that, you use flint dust, and you'll get the core that comes up inside the drill. But that's another time period. The other thing too is that when you drill these, you feel like you're coming through. You don't want to go through. Take a look and hold it up to the light, and when you see that light spot, mark that side and come at it from the other side. You'll break the drill bit very often if you go all the way through. However, paleo people in Archaic, when they're making banner stones, they drill them all the way through. And it's very diagnostic. You can tell if it's an Archaic bead or a Mississippian bead by if it's being drilled from both sides. Archaic beads, they drill them all from one side, and boy, they must go through a lot of drills, and yet, where are they? We don't find them. Indian Knoll has thousands and thousands and thousands of shell beads, and I don't remember seeing one micro drill. Of course, they may have missed it too. So it's such a big site that it would have gone right through any screens.
Larry, we have somebody that asked, how do these micro tools compare to those at Poverty Point?
Yeah, they were using them, but I don't know how early they were using them. I'm sure they were all the way, but I'm not that familiar with Poverty Point. That's the problem. And I'd love to see I know that with those little Poverty Point objects, they got these little things that you can't make those up. Yeah.
Larry, was there a method of using a stone as like pushing more weight down and then rolling it?
Well, you can that's what happens when you get this thing seated well enough. Then you can put a bow drill on it. Bow drill, and now bow drill does not work with banner stones. All the grit slides out, won't, because all your downward pressure. You don't want downward pressure with core drilling. You only want it with flint drilling. So the downward pressure is appreciated. If your hands slip off, I do have some stickum there, baseball bat tar, and that helps your hands quite a bit. So let's get everybody started. If anybody wants to get started, I've got these black rubber things. They will help hold the bead blank. Also, I would suggest you started with the rounded top first. and then go with the. Hmm?
So they can
No.
use this table here if they look.
And I usually go, 8 or 10 passes. Lately, I'm getting older. I used to do 30 or 40 passes at a time.
Larry, how is the outside of the shell finished when you have completed the
Okay, there's two methods. You can do this. In fact, the archaic ones, I think what they're doing is they're using the same bits that they drill their banner stones with. And then the bead, or the piece that comes out in between, up the core, they're using that for the drill. And I see a lot of them at Indian Knoll that are just that size. I just can't prove it. And one thing you do have is when you are drilling a bead like that, the top, where you start, it slobbers around a lot. So that's rounded on the top. When it breaks through, it's flat. So you can tell, if you could get the beads good enough to check, you can tell what side they were drilled from and how they were drilled. But the problem is, Indian Knoll is 7,000 years old. So the beads are so deteriorated in many cases, you can't really tell. I've looked thousands of them, and there's only a few of them you can tell.
When the bead breaks through the needle hole at the bottom, do you flip the stone over
It's better if you catch it before it does it, but you can do that too.
and flip it?
Yeah, yeah. All right, here's drills. If I would suggest getting a leg pad or one of
I'm
these.
sure it's something to try it. Absolutely gonna try it.
If you want to try a piece of copper, you can do that. And like I said, if you want to pay $20 for the fluorite, you can do that. If you have any sources of fluorite, let me know.
Alright, how about we about to Uber this?
Hey, it's raining.
Guys, holding this.
All right, I got 20 drills, so we can go up to that many.
Tyler, I know you better be trying that.
What do you mean later, dog?
I know you better be trying
I don't know what I'm doing right now, but
like and subscribe, hit the like button, make sure you follow the video.
Remember the bell.
Hit the bell for all of our updates. Archaeological Society, I'm so bad.
what am I doing?
This is what a real archaeologist looks like, kids.
We absolutely did a lot of micro drills and drills at the Haunted Scholar sites. I'm like, this is good, this is educational. We're going to understand what the heck's going on in the site. What I'm understanding is I'm really bad at it. Yeah, on your level, honestly, I should.
Cut in front of you.
Hey, up here. On June.
I'm hearing the little like noise he's talking about, right? Don't get your bead. I had a student drive like that much obsidian into his leg before. It's a bad time.
It's with
Am I gonna do this the whole time?
If I actually make a hole in this thing, you guys are never going to hear me shut up about it.
Can you hear it?
I can definitely hear it. Am I very good at it? No. Can I hear it? Yes.
I think I heard it just
See, like, there's a little exhibit. I have a little exhibit.
Very tiny.
Progress.
Look at them going and aim over there.
Come on.
It's like a competition.
Make sure we share. Make sure we share. Have a little itty bitty
I think
exhibit.
they were hurrying when they did it. I think they were just like, Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, and sit around.
It won't zoom out. It's stuck zoomed in. It keeps moving the comments for me.
I wonder if Larry would sharpen it now.
Yeah, right? I'm like,
And many of them are drilled with rods or now.
you girls are lovely.
Are you talking about that lantern sound?
There's a couple of videos. Pretty good.
Very good technique over here. Very good technique. Keeping your hand without the top of the drill moving very much. That's what you want to do. You can also see that the straighter the cane is, the better. I was hoping to do a workshop where you would make your own microfill, but it would have been too messy for here. But I'll probably do one of those next year.
We definitely are getting a microphone. So we already do one or two.
I wondered if you could check and see if maybe theirs needs to be resharpened or.
You'll be able to tell. Yeah, if it just gets to the point where nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening.
And we got 3 more drills here if anybody wants to.
I've seen them too, where the holes on the right side. They doesn't seem to make any sense. But you can take care of that later.
They can take it home with them, but they have to finish it. So if they get drilled halfway and give up on it, the next guy just finishes it home. So most of them will be there for the full half hour.
Security clearance, you're all right? How long were you there? How long were you there?
Oh, yeah. Little Spring Barrels.
Should be.
Oh, I took an Irish when we first got very small.
You already know. So it's very
I was working for the Maritime Administration.
Yeah.
She was working for
After
she got her master's in cultural.
Remember the 20,000 shell beads that were on that slope at Cahokia Mound in 1972, all made like this.
That's a hell of a photo, Larry. I don't know if we're gonna be able to make that.
Ella, you got a drill? You got a drill?
Oh.
Hey Larry, can you get Ella a drill?
Unionize.
I think we need to unionize. I don't know if we're gonna make that photo.
I'm not sick. I'm just clearing my lungs out.
Oh, you're okay. Everybody's either sick or they're not. You know, we can't be safe forever, I guess. My grandson, I saw him today, and his daughter came run up to me. My daughter was like, well, he's sick, we don't know why. He went to the doctor, he literally got tested for everything. COVID, strep, whatever. She's like, he's got nothing, but he's got 104 fever.
Last week I tested myself 3 times with COVID, so I
don't even know if the tests work anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they changes. Do they still?
Yeah, they do. You can tell when they don't. I mean, if you've got the line where it means you don't have COVID, and you've got a good line there.
Do the old ones still work?
Yeah, and in fact, there's a website you can go. Well, I mean, there's at some point where they're good for months now.
When we came back from Scotland, the airport, it was really weird. We were in Scotland, and had to get tested before you got to the United States. So you got tested, and then he said, until your results came back. He said the airport, like you said, closed there now. And they came out and they told the people in front of us, sitting directly in front of us, they're like, well, you go test positive for COVID. So go back to the ticket counter and change your flight because you're not leaving for 10 days. People didn't have masks on or anything. They just literally said, go back to the ticket counter. So you didn't, like, I would have told my husband, like, people are all over the place, or, you know.
When was that?
It was in 2021. When Sedona was in Scotland. Yeah. I mean, you were still having to get tested. We had to get tested before you got on the plane. We had 24 hours after we landed in Scotland to get tested again. And then you had to get tested again before you got on the plane to come back to the Then you had to get tested again at the airport. So it was still in the middle of it, but I was like thinking, I was feeling safe with the level of testing. So they said the people in front of us were like, yeah, you both tested, go down to the ticket. So they were like, released it from the airport to go. They got ready like 10 days later.
And, well, now they wouldn't make them wait singers. They'd only make them wait. Well,
I think there's it's everywhere. I still wear it. When I flew that time to Disneyland, I bought safety glasses to wear on the plane. I was worried somebody would sneeze or make her sick too. I still wear a mask on a plane.
I remember doing
I just don't want to get sick.
My target. They ain't very good. You can take it till it's the size of the drill, or you can get it just small like that.
You're doing the minutes.
Well, that'll make you all feel bad. He's got hers already done drill
I
through.
do minutes.
That's what you're saying here will do.
Once a month, we do the speaker series.
She's digging up holes. Autumn, get on our level. Yeah, Autumn, it's fun. Yeah.
Huh?
You can also.
Education director.
Our history camp for Madison County Historical Society, I took the kids there last year and the year before, actually. Yeah, and you're right, they do a fantastic job there.
They have a
We had our dining history down this year.
Man,